shy. Got different people jumping in today. Oh, there we go. Awesome, awesome. Pleasanton, lovely, sunny California. Sunny California. It'll be sunnier in California, actually. We're getting to the sun. We're actually end of the rainy season over in SoCal. So awesome. Welcome, folks. You came to the right place. How to use an ISA to get sellers in 2024. Let's jump right into it. This is the agenda, right? I'm going to talk a little bit about the market because I think the market matters a lot. Depend how to frame this, right? When your ISA is talking to sellers on your behalf, they should be armed with the latest data because I think the latest data is going to help you have conversations with sellers. We're going to talk about what it takes to get set up. We're going to talk about the best ways to get sellers. And I'm going to talk about the biggest mistakes you're going to make, right? Because you're going to make mistakes with an ISA. It's going to happen. It's not the worst thing in the world. This is part of the process. Making mistakes is not a failure. Making mistakes is part of the process, okay? And then you're going to have a really great special offer towards the end. If you're interested, you should stick around, all right? Let's jump right into it. State of the market. Where are we at right now, actually? Are we doing better than last year? Are we doing worse than last year? This is the latest data from NAR for the homes sold so far this year. This data is from the end of, it's actually data from a few weeks ago. They published this in February. For January, we are on track to sell 4 million homes in the US this year. That's like a 10, 15% increase from last year, okay? People might not know this, but we barely sold like 3.7 million homes in the US last year, which is an insane number, okay? It's very, very, very low number of homes sold last year for all the reasons you can imagine. All the uncertainty, interest rates hitting 8% in September, October, towards the end of the year. So we saw a big increase in January, and we're already seeing a much higher number trending for this year. So far, that's the latest from NAR. If you look at the numbers from the top 50 metro areas, okay, this is just a snapshot of this report from Fortune magazine, the top 50 metro areas. The only exception was Austin. I mentioned Austin was in the presentation. Austin and Phoenix were kind of, the ugly ducklings in the top 50 metro areas. They were the only markets that the prices went down last year. They were the only markets. Every other market essentially either stayed flat or saw an increase between 5 and 10% last year, 2023, okay? Even with it being kind of a down year for real estate. That's remarkable, folks. That's remarkable. That's weird, actually. The prices overall kind of went up, but prices did not collapse in these top 50 metro, but we saw interest rates rise significantly last year, okay? We hit 8% only a few months ago, which is nuts. But prices for the year actually trended slightly upward, okay? So look at this another way, okay? This is the median sales price for the US in the last 5 years. The median sales price. See how it starts at about 320,000 in early 2019 and then shot up to about the middle of 2022 to like 480,000, which is nuts. The 50% increase for the folks keeping the score at home. 50% in 5 years. That's even 4 years. That's insane. So we saw a correction happen. These are national numbers. Your individual numbers in your area might be different from this, but this is the whole country. We saw prices dip down, and they've more or less stabilized in the $420,000 to $440,000 range. These are sold prices. Okay, these are not listing prices. These are not active listings. These are sold. So there's a big lag here. There's a significant lag in this data. This is towards the end of 2023, okay? But this is where we're at. This is where we're at. Prices, there definitely was a correction, but there definitely wasn't a collapse, a real estate crash, as a lot of people were predicting, okay? Here, this is the chart you should always be checking, folks, okay? This is active listing inventory in the US, okay? This is us here, the beginning of 2024. Listing inventory is always cyclical. It goes up in the spring and the summer, and it goes down in the winter, okay? Fall and the winter. That's normal. That's par for the course. But look at where we're at the last year. We're between 500, 600,000 listings, maybe a little bit up to 700,000 listings. Where we were, this gray bar here is the pandemic year, okay? Sorry, the pandemic months when we shut down the whole industry. This is the pandemic, right? Early 2020. We are barely half at the inventory we had in 2019 for the same time frame. We're essentially still at half. Early in 2019, we were at 1.1 million listings active for the whole country, and it was still a seller's market back then. Okay. Right now, early 2024, we're almost at half that amount. We're barely at 600,000 listings. Okay. Almost. That is where we are. That is where we continue to be. This big fear of prices crashing and inventory ballooning and getting huge has not materialized. It's not happening. And it is unlikely to happen this year as well. When you're looking at interest rates, these are the latest and greatest predictions for how interest rates are going to finish the year 2024. Okay. Now, those may not be the numbers you want to see there, but that's definitely better than an 8, right? Those interest rates beginning with an 8. Everyone is predicting that interest rates are going to stop rising this year. There's going to be a lot of pressure to bring interest rates down, okay? That's what everyone is predicting. I'm not a rocket scientist. I threw away my crystal ball, but this is what people that are paid a lot of money to look at this is what they're saying. And they're saying that we're going to stabilize these interest rates. By the way, 6% interest rate is the average interest rate, I think, for the last 30 years in the US, or probably maybe even more than that, right? From the 90s all the way to now, this is the average rate we've seen in the country. We're kind of back to normal, right? This is a normal rate. And I think the market can function really normally and correctly this way, all right? That's where we're at. This is the current state of the market. What does this mean for sellers? We are going to see, my prediction for this year, we're going to see more deals happen. We're going to see more people get back into the market. We're going to see lower interest rates than we saw last year. What does that mean? More people are going to be active. More buyers are going to jump in. You should list your home and take advantage of that. Okay. And the sooner the better, quite frankly. The sooner the better. All right. That's the current state of the market in the US. This is March 2024. Okay, awesome, Gus. I get it. The market is favorable. The market's going to favor sellers yet again this year. That's great. How do we get set up with an ISA to get them calling for us? Okay. Well, step number one, obviously, you got to find a great ISA. I'm kind of assuming you already have one for the purpose of this presentation. This is not a training, how to train your ISA. This is not how to hire an ISA presentation. I got plenty of those if you want them. This is about once you have a great ISA, hopefully you use us, but even if you don't, it's fine. It's okay. Glad you're here anyway, but this is how you get them ready to go. So the biggest concept I need you to understand to be successful with an ISA, searching for sellers, specifically looking for sellers, is what I call shaking the tree model. I didn't come up with this. I got this from Coach John D. Smith, master prospector Brandon Mulrennan, master cold caller, prospector, lead generator, listing generator. And they said there's only one way to be successful with an ISA, and that is using this model. Appointments are not the goal of your ISA. I know that doesn't make any sense to what people are saying, what you're expecting, but this is the truth. When your ISA is calling, I don't care what they're calling, the phone book, expireds, FSBO, absentee, whatever it is they're calling, their goal actually isn't to always set an appointment right off the bat. I mean, if they can, that's great. But their goal is to find a hand raiser, a qualified seller. And what I call a qualified seller is a confirmed homeowner with confirmed contact information, their phone number, with curiosity or desire to sell their home. That's it, okay? That is what a qualified seller is, a qualified seller lead. Your ISA should be generating as many of those qualified seller leads as possible. Period in the story. They should be handing them off to you or to your team to contact those people, re-qualify them, and set the appointment if it's needed. And if not, nurture them, right? Generate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these a day and give me people to talk to follow up with. So when they're ready, I'll set the appointment, I'll attend and close that deal, okay? This is what we call the highest and best use of your ISA. And I'm not trying to say that ISAs can't set appointments. No. But when we're talking about generating sellers, generating listings, this model is what I've seen be successful time and time again. Shaking the tree. Your ISA shakes the tree and the fruit falls down. You're there to pick it up and take it to the finish line. Okay. That's what I mean. This is your role in the process. Your role in the process is to take those qualified sellers, call them, re-qualify them, book the appointment, close that deal. Your ISA is giving you more and more opportunities to do that every single day. All right, let's keep going. So Corey, I'm going to have you help me out. If people have questions or drop a comment, let me know, because I'm not really active looking at the chat, but let me know. I'd love to, we can definitely answer questions throughout the presentation. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going.
Well,
Great.
we did just have a question and it just came in. So it says, do you offer a list of homeowners in our local area that are most likely to make a move, or do we need to provide your company, the ISA, a list?
Great, because I'm about to talk about lists on this slide deck. That's a great question. So we don't provide lists. We recommend people where you can get the different lists from. Okay, we have these lists. These are our most popular, our most recommended vendors. RedX, who I think is even a partner of LCA, so you can probably get a great deal on RedX through LCA, Vulcan 7, Mojo, and the Share Group. They're really good at certain types of data. Okay, I don't believe that they are a be all end all. And, full disclosure, I'm an affiliate with RedX and with, I think, Vulcan, not with Mojo and, Share Group. Share Groups are really good friends of mine. So I still love those guys, no matter, even if I'm not an affiliate, I love those guys. So some of these people I'm an affiliate of, some people I'm not an affiliate of, but I still recommend them because they are really good at certain types of data and at certain scenarios. Okay. I'll go through them one by one, but you don't need more than these, depending on what kind of calling you're going to do. Okay, I'll go through these as we drill down. But yes, you are providing this data to your ISA to call. This is not something that PowerISA does, and most companies that provide virtual assistants, virtual ISAs, most of them don't generate the data for you. You should own that part of the process. You should find out which one works the best and double down on that. Okay, when we're talking about dialers, you need to get the data, number one. You get a list. Okay, we're talking about seller lead generation. This class today, this webinar, is not about how to call your database. Okay, that's a whole other class, and that's a great way to get listings. By the way, it's a great one. That your ISA is not great at that. You should be calling your personal database and getting some deals from that. That's another class I've taught here in LCA. You should check it out. This is not talking about online leads. Not that you can't generate listings from online leads. It is just way more expensive to do online leads, and the conversion rate is much, much lower for online leads. ISAs can also do that. I'm going to be sticking to the highest performing, best result you can get with an ISA, and that's what you need these tools for. Data, dialer. If you're doing circle prospecting, you absolutely need a dialer like Mojo or Call Tools. Okay, Mojo is the gorilla in the room. It's the brand. It's the proven and most used tool when you're talking about circle prospecting or calling at a really high level. I love Mojo. I am not in any way affiliated with them. I don't get any money if you use them, but they are the easiest to set up and one of the best at doing this. Call Tools is great. The only difference between Mojo and Call Tools is amazing. It actually costs less than Mojo, but it is harder to set up. And that can be a big difference, guys. Okay. I want to make things simple for you guys, but both of those can work. They're great options. You can't go wrong with either of them. If you're not doing circle prospecting, I feel you probably don't need a big, powerful multi-line dialer. You can get away with one line, maybe two lines, and you can use something like Vonage Business is a great option for that. Okay. What else? Another thing you need is scripts. We'll be talking about scripts, and you need to optimize your campaign. Okay. Just because you get the data, just because you get a dialer, does not mean that you're ready to go. Why? Because there's one big problem you got to solve. Whether you're doing the calls or your ISA is doing the calls, and that is the spam filtering. Oh my goodness, this is the bane of my existence. This is something you have to understand, or you're not going to be successful ever with outbound prospecting in 2024. There is this protocol called Shaken and Stir, okay? The Shaken and Stir is implemented by the carriers, by AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile. If you are making way too many calls, more than a normal person would make, the carriers are going to block your calls. which means the other phone is never going to ring. Okay, let alone this is going to be tagged as spam. No, this is not even going to tag as spam. The other phone number never even knows you called them. That's what's going to happen if your number is tagged as spam by this protocol. You can also be making calls. It does ring on the other end. But guess what? My iPhone's going to tell me that's spam likely. Okay, don't answer this phone. My Android's going to tell me it's a spam likely phone. I really wouldn't pick this up. You guys know what I'm talking about. Okay, that is implemented by iOS and Android. That's not a carrier issue. The calls coming through, the carrier's letting you through, but the actual phones are telling you, you really should have picked this up, Gus. If I were you, I'd avoid this one, okay? Very powerful. If you ignore these measures, you're going to contact 0 people every day, okay? No one is going to answer that call. You have to use the technology available to us to try and mitigate this. You want to stay under the radar. You want to make sure you do not seem like a robocaller. Folks, robocallers are the reason these measures were implemented. Robocallers make thousands of calls an hour, millions of calls a day, okay? That's who you don't want to seem like. You need to use the technology, and Mojo and Call Tools are excellent at this, okay? You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You should use the white labeling in Mojo and Call Tools to keep your number below the radar and clean from the spam filters. This is a must. This is necessary, okay? You can also, I have some of my best clients, what they do, before their ISA starts calling every day, they have them call the team and make sure they can get the call. The call shows up, right? What's up, Ray?
We have a question. What
Yeah.
if we don't want to dial and make those initial calls? Can we use the ISA for that and only be connected with those interested sellers?
I'm guessing, is this about the data, your personal database, or this is about like I'm lacking a little bit of context as to because you absolutely your ISA can make those calls. I mean, that's the whole point. The ISA should make 100 calls so you talk to one motivated seller. That's exactly what you should be using your ISA for. If I missed anything on that question, absolutely you should. So you should use the technology and double check that your ISA can actually call you, okay? That their call is going through and not getting tagged as spam likely. 5 to 10% contact rate is the goal. It means you're doing things correctly. You're in the green, okay? All right, let's jump into it. Option number 1, good old circle prospecting. Circle prospecting. This is the number 1 way that people use ISAs because let's be honest, circle prospecting is a grind. Very few agents do it. I've done webinars here in LCA with agents that do circle prospecting and they kill it. But it's a grind. It's not easy to do. If it were easy to do, everyone would do it. This is the prospecting that I loved doing the most when I was an active agent. It was the easiest for me to do, quite frankly. I would make 3 hours of calls and I could talk to 50 to 100 people back then. This is 2012, 2013, 2014 timeframe. In 3 hours, I could talk to almost 100 different people. Okay, I love this kind of calling. This is one of the most profitable way to generate leads because it is prospecting based. Other than your personal database, prospecting is the best way to generate potential sellers. All right. It is much more scalable though than calling your own database. Because if you call your database, you can be done in a couple of days. You're done. Now, what do you do the other 364 days of the year, right? You can do circle prospecting and you can add leverage, and ISA can help you do this. You have nearly an unlimited number of people to call. I trained a 50-person ISA team by calling Washington State, which is where I was based as an agent, okay? Washington State. We had about 2 to 3 million numbers available for Washington State. We called through every single number in the whole state within about 2 years. What did we do at the end? We started over from 0 and did it over again, okay? Why? Because time passes, folks. People move. People are born. People pass away. People get divorced. People change cities, change counties, change states, right? So you can always call these lists over again, right? That is the magic of circle prospecting. And another thing, you're bringing them some good news, right? You're telling them about, hey, interest rates are going to go down this year finally, okay? We're going to have more inventory. We're going to have more people trying to get homes out here. Let's get this thing moving. It is much easier to make these calls now than a year ago. Why? A year ago, so maybe people don't remember this, but a year ago it was tough. Okay, the market was coming down. No one knew a year ago. No one knew if the winter, the prices going so down in the winter, was going to continue through 2023 or not. Right now, we have a lot more confidence that the bottom is not about to fall out from under the market. You can make better calls now. All right. Okay, this is something that ISAs can do every single day, circle prospect. The most common setup that I see for circle prospecting is agents generating Facebook and Google leads. And then when there's no leads to call, their ISAs hit those just listed, just sold scripts for the day, for the week. They're doing it every single day to fill in the time. Your ISAs can do this every single day. All right. Like I said, you don't want to turn over those lists very often. Maybe maximum, you want to call the same list over again every 2 to 3 months, max. You want to keep those lists as fresh as possible. I was just on a call with a client today, and they're in Glendale, California. They asked me, how often do I call my list? I go, Mr. Agent, holy cow, there's 20 million people within like a 15-mile radius of Glendale, California. 20 million people. You're never going to call through all those with one ISA. You are never going to run out of numbers in an area like that, right? So how often should you call the same list? Maybe never, maybe you actually never call the same list again, or maybe it'll take you years to hit that same list again because he worked the whole county. The county he was working in, okay, maybe it wasn't 20 million, it was 10 million in LA County, which is crazy. Okay. So that's why I love this lead source so much. Your ISA should always approach these calls with curiosity. And really important, they got to get to 3 no's. They've got to get to the 3rd no. Once they get someone on the phone, the script is really simple. It goes something like this. Hey there, Mr. Seller. This is Gus with ABC Realty. I'm just giving you a call because we just sold the property right down the street from you at 123 Main Street. And guess what? We had way more buyers, trying to get the home than we had people that want it, right? So we have a lot of buyers disappointed they couldn't get that property. I'm just canvassing the neighborhood, trying to find more sellers for my buyers. Who do you know that I should know that might be thinking of selling? How about yourself, right? Really simple. Yeah, Corey.
Um, Someone was asking about the numbers being on the do not call list, and is that common? And also with a low answer rate, or also low answer rate than, okay, I don't understand. Maybe is the
Yeah.
answer rate lower with for sale by owners and expireds? I'm not quite sure.
So that number I gave earlier, 5 to 10%, that's the number you should use for any kind of prospecting, right? I use it for circle prospecting because it's like calling the phone book. Like that's the most general number you can use. 5 to 10% you should use as a rule of thumb, regardless of what you're calling. Because I see that number works in the US, number works in Canada. It's a very consistent number. It's what you can be successful with right now. And talking about the do not call list, folks. So for the people from the FTC listening in on the webinar, no, you should not call the do not call list. Don't do that. But you need more numbers, is what the answer is, right? To make sure you don't have to call a bunch of numbers on the do not call list, because you shouldn't do that, right? So absolutely you should do it. To be able to call a number on the do not call list, you have to have like a relationship with the person, right? You have to have worked with them in the last year or 6 months or something like that. So I'm not a lawyer. Don't quote me on that. But that's the regulation. That's the rule. The solution is get more people, right? And from my perspective, again, not a lawyer, but there's going to be some numbers. For example, for sale by owner that publishes their number on the internet, on the web, that in my opinion removes the do not call list protection on that, right? Because they're advertising their number to be called for the purpose of selling their home, So when in doubt, check with your broker, right? But that's my experience of what I've seen with it, right? So DNC is definitely an issue. Get more people. And there's other lead sources like the Share Group that have actually ways to get what's something called third-party consent. You get a bunch of numbers that have given consent for telemarketers to reach out to them in a specific zip code. That's another way to do it. So there are ways to mitigate stuff like do not call us. That's a great question. We get that question all the time. And you should use these tools like RedX, like Mojo, like Vulcan 7 that help you stay compliant. Because it's not just the do not call list, actually. There's more other regulations. That's why I always tell folks, use the tried and true tools in the industry that are going to help you stay compliant with the rules that are out there. Okay, great question. Awesome. So my favorite way to do circle prospecting is just sold and geofarming. Just sold means you just sold the property, you've got more buyers available. Who do you know? Geofarming means you might have not sold the property there at all. You might have not listed one there at all, ever. But guess what? In your CRM, in your database, from walking out in the neighborhood, you found 3, 4, 5 people that are looking for homes in that area. Okay. Call them and let them know. Hey, guess what? I've got 10 buyers in my CRM that are looking for properties in this area. We need more inventory. Who do you know that I should know? I'm just looking for more homes for my buyers. Can you help me out, Mr. Seller? Have you ever thought of maybe relocating, move into something bigger, something smaller? Ever thought of that? No. Great. Do you currently own or do you rent your home? Have you ever thought of maybe making a change? Get to 3 no's. Get to the third no. Someone that has been trained and that is a pro can get to the third no. Be respectful, be polite, thank them for their time, move on to the next call. That is the key to circle prospecting. Okay. Here is a great testimonial. This is a case study. This just got released about 7 days ago. This is it's my picture on there because we're going to get a picture of Stephen. Stephen Gray did this testimonial. How him and Isaiah are getting 5 qualified sellers per week doing calls just like this, a qualified seller per day. This is another case study. Carlos Gonzalez out of San Antonio, Texas, getting 2 listings a month from circle prospecting, right? Circle prospecting works, folks. It absolutely works. If you follow my recommendations, you can absolutely get it to work for you. All right. It's just a question of talking to enough people every single day. Option number 2, absentee owners. Okay. Absentee owners. Your ISA, like someone asked at the beginning, the role of your ISA is shaking that tree, calling 100 different absentee owners. These are renters. These are mom and pop renters, mom and pop landlords. Okay. Calling them and trying to find the 1 or 2 that might be interested in an offer on their property. Okay. That if they got a good offer, would they be interested in selling? Would they be interested in cashing out that investment and diversifying? What would they be interested in? Okay. My opinion, this is still a very underutilized opportunity in most markets. Okay. I am an absentee owner. I have rental property in Seattle, Washington. You know how many calls I get from agents asking me if I'd like to sell my home? I literally had it listed a few years ago, and then we canceled the listing. After the first few months, no one's called us anymore on that. After 2020, I think I maybe, and that's when the inventory crunch started. I think I've maybe gotten 4 or 5 calls in 4 years, okay, from real estate agents asking me, hey, how's it going for you? If I could get you a great offer, would you still sell that property? Would you be interested? Okay. Very few agents are doing this. The people that are doing this at a high level, I'll tell you, are investors. And that is to your advantage. Why? Because the first thing you want to do when you get one of these owners on the call is telling them, I'm not an investor. I'm not trying to give you an all cash offer, close in 7 days. I'm not that. I actually want you to get the highest and best value for your property. But I'm just curious, right? If you could get a great offer, would you want to cash out that property and get something better? All right. You want to call, text, and leave a voicemail. You can leave a voicemail with these leads. I would never leave a voicemail with circle prospecting. I would absolutely leave a voicemail with an absentee owner. Hey, are you the owner of 123 Main Street? Right? I would ask them that. That's going to get you a response. Probably a nervous response from an owner, right? Hey, who wants to know? So are you the owner of this property? That's all you want to say on the voicemail. That's all you want to say in the text. Okay. That's it. Once you get them on the line, I want you to tell them the good news. All right. Prices are going up in almost all markets right now. Interest rates are coming down in almost all markets right now. Okay. So what do we want to do? Actually, interest rates went down this week, actually, right? They went down and they're back down to the low for the year. Okay. So you want to tell them the good news and let them know what's the competitive landscape. Why is it good to sell right now? All right. really, really focus on that motivation. Motivation is the key for these absentee owners. This is another case study we got last month, 6 listings in 90 days, right? This is Josh Sayer. And one of the biggest sources he called was absentee owners. It wasn't the only one he called. That was one that he absolutely hit because very few people are hitting it right now. All right. I might have forgotten about this already after the pandemic. Folks, in the years after the pandemic, because of the moratoriums, because of the issues with renters, I had one of my tenants completely trash the place, and I couldn't even charge them the security deposit because of the moratoriums, right? So there's a lot of landlords that have kind of been facing a big challenge. And guess what? 2024 is the year we're about to have more rental supply, more rental inventory hit the market this year than ever before in the US. Okay, I'm going to say that again. More rental units, brand new ones, are going to hit the market this year than ever before. And this data goes back to like 1950. Okay, more units. What does that mean? There's going to be pressure on rents. Okay, I tried to raise prices on my rentals last year in Seattle. They were brand new condos a mile from my property. I could not raise them past that, right? Because a brand new unit was charging the same rent I was. So I couldn't raise the rent on my tenants. There's going to be a lot of pressure on landlords and on rents this year, 2024. Your strategy to get listings needs to include absentee owners for all of those reasons. Okay, cool. Let's run into it. So this is the granddaddy of prospecting. This is what everyone considers to be outbound prospecting and cold calling for real estate. I'm talking about expired, canceled, and for sale by owners, right? So so I'm going to make a case right now. I'm going to make a case for, other than the obvious, these are really obvious ones. I'm going to make a case for a little bit less obvious one, and I'm going to go back to the data. See what happened in the middle of 2022. This, okay? The median price for the whole country went from 480 down to $420,000. Okay, so that, and some cities, some areas were hitting on the nose with this, and some a little bit less so. But there was a big shift in the market in the summer, around the summer of 2022. Okay, what does that mean? We went from not having almost any expireds, right, for several years, very few expireds. I had clients of mine give up on expired listings in January 2022. So I'm never calling expireds again. They are nuts, Gus. I cannot get them to budge. They're just, if they can't sell in this market, it's because they're just insane. Basically what they were saying, right? FISBOs are even worse, but expired are just crazy. That changed in the summer of 2022. Okay. People that had given up on expired just 6 months earlier got back on the horse. Because guess what, folks? With prices moving down, with the market decelerating, with interest rates going from 3% to 6% to 7 to 8, things changed. Prices went down across the whole country, okay, as a country. So I would be calling expired listings from the summer of 2022 to now, okay, that haven't relisted. Why? Because there might be an opportunity there, okay? They tried to sell. A lot of these sellers, put yourself in their shoes. They wanted to sell at 480,000. Now it's 420. You're kicking yourself, okay? Some people, it's really hard for them to get over that. It's like shell shock. They're traumatized. They felt they missed out. They missed the biggest, bull market of the century, basically, and they're really feeling bad about that. But guess what? Their underlying motivation to sell their home might still be there. Okay. And look, the data I just showed you, month over month, prices went up in January. I'll bet you whatever you want, prices went up in February and they're going to go up in March. All right. Because of everything I just showed you guys. Inventory is still historically low, and interest rates, at least capped at where they are. They're probably not going to go to 8% anymore. Okay. All those are going to put pressure on prices. It's going to put pressure on prices. And you need to call these people up and give them the good news, okay? Like I said, 2 to 18 months ago, actually probably more than 18 months at this point, I would start from summer 2022 to now. and see who has it relisted and call those folks and see where they're at. All right. Your ISA shakes that tree, tries to find them. This is a really simple message you want to send them. If they don't pick up the phone, that's fine. Leave a voicemail, send a text. Hey, are you still accepting offers on 123 Main Street? Okay. If it's a really old expired, just ask, is your property still available? Right? Just curious, right? Would you still accept an offer on that property? And just see what they respond. Okay. That's where you want to start that conversation. When you're talking, and then when you're getting on the phone for your ISA, like I said, your ISA is not there to talk about commissions and the full marketing plan. That's not what they want. Your ISA is there to qualify them on motivation. Mr. Seller, if we could get you an offer, a better offer than you expect, would you still make the move on the property? I'm just curious. When you had it on the market, if you could have sold it, where would you have moved to? Just curious about that. What were your plans originally? If we could get you a qualified buyer, would you still make that move? I'm just curious about that. Shut up and see what they say. Your ISA should do that 50 times a day, 100 times a day, okay? Ask that question to the 8,000 old expireds that are in your market and just see what they say. If the answer is anything other than absolutely not, no, crazy, never, I'm never selling and never moving, thank them for their time, move on to the next one. But if their answer is anything other than that, it's a qualified seller, okay? You should have they should hand them off to you, and you should then have a conversation with them, all right? When you're talking about for sale by owners are a little bit different, all right? For sale by owners are funny in this, there is no such thing as an old for sale by owner, right? They either listed or they sold. I mean, that's kind of it. These aged, well, maybe an aged for sale by owner is like a month, probably, right? So the for sale by owner is different fundamentally from these other. I group expired and canceled. I approach the exact same way, by the way. You shouldn't change your approach. In my opinion, you shouldn't change it at all. Same problem. Are you still motivated to sell? Great. I'd love to help you, right? FSBO takes several touches. This is where an ISA comes really in handy, actually. Okay. They're just checking in. And the first day that they list, it's the opposite of an expired, right? Because the first day that they list is when they are least motivated to list with their agent. Like they 100% believe they're going to sell it themselves. Okay. But you got to stay with them. Your ISA's got to be calling every week, maybe twice a week if they have a good connection, a good conversation, to check in with them, make sure it's still available, ask permission to add it to your off-market property list. Why not? And throw your hat in the ring. Mr. Seller, this is an amazing property. I'm sure you can sell it on your own. This is great. However, if you hit a snag, if you have any issues, me and my agent, Gus, would love to be your plan B. Is it okay for me to check in with you and see how things are going the next few weeks? Is that all right? Great. Okay. Because you're immediately going to sound different than 99% of the agents calling them by taking that approach. It's completely different. And then your ISA is checking in every week, preferably Monday, Tuesday. Hey, how'd it go? The property's still available. Have you had any showings on that? Awesome. Just wanted to ask you, are you ready to talk to Gus, my agent? He's got potentially a more effective and more aggressive marketing plan to get your property sold. Are you open to hearing that? Let's see what they say. About 14 days in, 15 days in is the tipping point for most of these for sale by owners. For most of them, they either sold or they're realizing this is not as easy as I thought it would be. Okay. And whoever still has the relationship, has made a positive impression, is going to get a shot. Right? They might already have someone they have in mind. They throw that objection out all the time. Oh, I got a buddy. If I'm going to list it, I'm going to list it with my buddy. 100%. That's awesome. I respect friends and family. How about this? What do you lose if Corey, my agent, comes over and shows you what she can do to get your home sold? Mr. Seller, worst case, you get some better ideas to give to your buddy, right? Like, how can you say no to that, right? That makes sense. When people compete, you win, right, Mr. Seller? Yeah, I think so. Great. When can she come over, right, and have a chat with you, right? And when you're handing these off, the IC, like I said, doesn't even have to set the appointment. Would you take a call from Corey just to have her introduce herself, and tell you what she can do different to get this property moving and get you on the way to Topeka, to Pismo Beach, to, I don't know, Myrtle Beach, whatever. Get you on the way there. Is that fair? Can she just give you a call and introduce herself and tell you what she can do? Great. I'll have her call you today, right? That is the
And I'm
ideal
all in.
handoff.
Let's go.
100%. Let's go. Corey's ready to take that call, right? Boom, he's on the phone. So
We have
that's what you want.
three
That's
3 minutes, just so you know.
okay. There we go. Perfect.
Okay.
And I'm almost done. I've only got like 3 slides left. Boom. All right. So, and here's a great case study. So this is Manar Siba. He's out of I think the suburbs of Detroit, Michigan. He got 4 listings in 30 days. The reason he got such a high conversion rate is his ISA was focusing on the highest converting leads known to man for prospecting, and that is expired, canceled, for sale by owner. Okay? Expired, canceled, for sale. And he didn't do this years ago. This is a few months ago. Okay? This is the end of 2023. He was doing this, right? In the down cycle of the market, in the winter months. I don't want to tell you what winters are like in Detroit, okay? But he was making those calls and he was just talking to the most motivated people. ISA was handing off. He was throwing him over, handing him off, shaking that tree, and handing over the potential hand raisers. Okay. That is it. That's why I'm so confident this works. Biggest mistakes, I'm almost done. This is the last slide in the presentation. Folks, the biggest mistakes I see people make with this is they don't understand that shaking the tree model. They misunderstand it, and they 100% want their ISA to give them a bunch of listing appointments, and they're going to go sign them. That's not how this works, right? I wish it did. That'd be awesome. That's not reality. Got to be ready to take a motivated seller to the finish line. That's your job as an agent. Another big mistake is you don't give it enough time. Folks, this is a farming activity. Yes, you can get better results with the highest converting lead sources, but the ones that are the most plentiful, like circle prospecting, take the most time. If you want to get results from circle prospecting, you better give it minimum 3 to 4 months. Minimum, probably more like 6 months to accumulate those motivated sellers, those nurturers, for them to start, yielding results for you. Okay, that's a real number from our clients. If another big mistake, your ISA is not talking to enough people. It's the contact rate issue. Like I said, if you're below, I literally had this happen today with my coaching call. We had an issue, and they said I already put my number on the whitelist for Mojo, and it was set up the wrong way. The number was getting tagged as spam. They weren't talking to enough people. Use the technology, use the tools, and you can work around this. All right. Getting to the 3 no's and following up with those seller leads. You got to follow up. Fortune is in the follow up. All right, folks. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. If you want a copy of this deck, all you got to do is text the word ISA to the number below. Okay. If you want the deck with the case studies, with testimonials, with all my recommendations, with the data sources, with the dialers, okay, check out this deck. Text ISA to 425-842-2904. And this entire presentation will be available on the Lab Code Agents YouTube channel. So you don't have to take a bunch of notes, right? I think probably by next week, it'll be up on the channel. You can watch everything. But if you want the specific deck, text ISA to 425-842-2904, and my team will send it to you ASAP. Thanks, everybody. Like a minute over. Oh, well, close enough, right?
You did great. I love it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, everybody.